Overdrive. Today we drive India's longest range electric vehicle. We take a look at what makes the Skoda Kushaq one of the safest cars in India and tell you why the Defender 90 should be your pick in the luxury SUV space. Hello and welcome to Overdrive. I am Soini Dutt. The Mercedes-Benz EQS is now India's longest range EV. It offers you an ARAI certified driving range of 587 kilometers. It's time for us to find out how it feels like to drive on our Indian roads.
We recently showed you how the best car in the world, the Mercedes Maybach S580, is assembled right here in India. Now at this very facility, Mercedes-Benz has also started assembly of the EQS, an electrified S-Class of sorts.
You see, this is a big deal because the EQS is all electric, which means that to assemble this car, the Mercedes-Benz India plant and all the technicians working there have had to upgrade their components, processes and skill sets respectively. And now, the plant in Pune is the only second place in the whole world where the EQS is assembled. So that for every Indian is a proud moment.
As you walk up to the India spec car with a chest full of pride, the EQS door handles automatically pop out. Specify the magic doors and the door will automatically open too.
I quite like the design of these frameless doors. That, coupled with the wedge-shaped silhouette that this car casts, it gives the EQS the vibe of a four-door coupe. And unlike conventional electric cars, the charging equipment isn't under the bonnet but is under the floor in the boot. And the boot itself is quite massive.
The stubby nose and boot also maximize the cabin space.
So what that means is, despite the coupe-ish form, the space is actually not that bad. In fact, it's excellent. Now, the wheelbase may not be as long as the long wheelbase S-Class sold to us, but it is longer than the standard wheelbase S-Class sold globally. That said, the India spec E-Class or S-Class will continue to offer you better space and a grander experience back here. Because of the coupe-ish roofline, it does eat into a bit of the headroom, especially if you're over 6 feet tall.
Those who still prefer to be driven around in this car get a tablet to control the massage and the ambient lighting functions. They can recline the seats by a fair degree, relax on the soft pillows, and even get a view of the sky through the panoramic roof. It still feels very much like the rear seat of a Mercedes-Benz in that sense. But this car is aimed at those who prefer being behind the wheel.
You see, the EQS has to compete with not one, but two S's. The Mercedes-Benz S-Class and the Tesla Model S. So it has to achieve that midway point, that balance. So for beginners, the exterior form, the shape of the car, it manages to have an aerodynamic efficiency of 0.2 CD. That's marginally more slippery than the Tesla Model S. Now, of course, for you and I, the drag coefficient, that's not a number that matters much. But that aerodynamic efficiency, coupled with the 107.8 kilowatt-hour battery pack that this car runs on, you get a phenomenal range of an ARAI-backed 857 kilometers. That's massive. The other number that might matter to you is acceleration. Of course, it's not as quick as some of the ridiculously quick variants of the Tesla Model S, but it is still pretty quick. 0 to 100 comes up in 4.2 seconds. That's quick. Our tested figure in our not so usual testing conditions has been 4.6 seconds. So yeah, it is quick and it feels quick. And that's the beauty of it. It can be calm, laid back as and when you want it, or if you just want brisk performance, it's there.
While the EQS is brisk, the top speed is limited to 210 km an hour to maximize range. This car also has the most dynamic accelerator pedal I have ever experienced. It feels heavy and restrained in the eco mode and a lot freer and responsive as you make your way up to the sport mode. The sport mode, as you expect, stiffens the chassis a bit. The on-demand electric all-wheel drive achieved by placing an electric motor on each axle provides excellent grip, and around bends it doesn't have the understeer of a conventional all-wheel drive. but the EQS is a car that is best enjoyed in the comfort mode.
As I already showed you, the rear seat is not as grand, but it does feel quite luxurious. This massive infotainment screen, I'm really loving it. The more I use it, the more I fall in love with it. This is the largest satellite navigation screen I've ever seen. This is the largest CarPlay screen that I've ever seen. It's just huge. So in terms of navigation, this is really good. It also lets you download and install apps. Like for example, there is Tetris that comes bundled on this. So whenever you're getting bored, you can just play Tetris, not while you're on the move. It automatically disables that, not just on the main screen, but also on the passenger screen. Now, because this car claims to be the S-Class of the electrified Mercedes-Benz cars, it obviously has to be big on technology, right? And there are some really cool features, one of which I think which gives you a great quality of life improvement is the adaptive ride height. Now, this feature is something that we've seen in other Mercedes-Benz cars as well, where you can raise the car to go over a speed hump or even to tackle potholes, etc. The cool feature, however, with the EQS is when you do that, if it's on your regular route, when you do that, you can actually add it. You can actually geotag a particular pothole or geotag a speed breaker in the satellite navigation system itself. So the next time you approach that pothole or the speed hump, it already knows about it and it gives you the option to raise the height of the car even before you approach it. How cool is that?
While the locally assembled S-Class dropped the rear wheel steering, the EQS doesn't. For those unaware of this feature, it practically alters the wheelbase to make the car more agile. While cornering at high speeds, for example, the rear wheels will steer in the same direction as the front to arc a sharper line through the bend. While at slower speeds or while making U-turns, the rear wheels point in a direction opposite to the front to mimic the effect of a shorter wheelbase and make for a lesser turning radius. Being the S-Class of EVs, the EQS also comes with a plethora of safety features, including Level 2 ADAS functions like adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, forward collision warning, and automated braking, while the cabin is protected with 9 airbags. At Rs 1.55 crore, the EQS undercuts the S-Class by a fair margin. And while it isn't an apple-to-apple comparison, head honchos who want to make a statement about going green and yet want to arrive in style will find a lot of value in the EQS without compromising on the tech of a modern-day Mercedes-Benz. And with the kind of range it promises, it is the luxury EV to buy right now.
EV subsidies means that the EQS 580 is a lot more affordable than the S-Class even in India. In fact, the EQS 580 received 300 bookings within 2 weeks of its launch. That's quite a number, right? We'll take a very quick break here on the show, but coming up on the other side, we tell you why the Skoda Kushaq is one of the safest cars in India today. Welcome back, you're watching Overdrive. Now, safety measures in cars can be active or passive, and automobile manufacturers are working all their might in providing you and me with the safest cars on road. One such manufacturer who has just received a 5-star safety rating in adult and child protection at the global NCAP has been the Skoda Kushaq. So let's find out what makes this car one of the safest cars in India today.
The Global New Car Assessment Program, or Global NCAP, is a major project of the Towards Zero Foundation, a UK-registered charity. Global NCAP promotes the universal adoption of the United Nations Motor Vehicle Safety Standards worldwide. In January 2014, Global NCAP started their popular Safer Cars for India project. This led to the much-needed monitoring of the crashworthiness of cars in India.
One of Global NCAP's major objectives is to assess impact performance of cars and provide consumers with the information on the car's safety standards in an easily recognizable form of stars. And this has become a global standard and a go-to measure for all car manufacturers who want to make their cars safer.
Automotive safety is a growing concern in India. We have a reputation of being one of the most unsafe countries with regards to road safety. Millions in India die due to road accidents every year, And global NCAP as well as the government of India is working hard to reduce this number by encouraging manufacturers to adopt higher standards of safety in their cars. This has recently led to the Skoda Kushaq earning the highest safety rating ever earned by a car manufactured in India. With a score of 29.64 out of 34 for adult safety and 42 out of 49 for child safety, the Kushaq has achieved a new milestone for Made in India cars, and this tells us that the future of safety and mobility is in good hands.
The Skoda Kushaq has achieved 5 stars on NCAP for adult protection and 5 stars for child occupant protection, becoming the first car ever to have achieved so. And this it has done under newer and stricter parameters of the NCAP, which now covers frontal and side crash protection, child protection, safety assist and other safety features.
With a strong and crash-absorbent body shell, the stable Kushaq provides optimum protection to adults in front of the car. In the side impact test, the Kushaq showed optimum safety with curtain airbags. With ISOFIX mounts as standard, it is easy to install child seats in the rear. This prevents head exposure in both frontal and side impact conditions, keeping children safe. This was assisted by 3-point belts, which are available in all seating positions across all variants of the Kushaq.
Another benchmark attained by the safety features of the Skoda Kushaq are seen in the side impact testing of the vehicle.
The results showed that the advanced airbag system, part of the 6 airbags package on offer, is thoroughly efficient and mitigates several injuries. Features like electronic stability control, ABS and easy to install ISOFIX points for child safety further enhances safety within the Kushaq.
Yes, this is the safest family car in the market right now, but that does not allow you to drive unsafe. Follow road restrictions, follow all safety measures and drive safe. And be rest assured that the Skoda Kushaq is going to take care of the rest.
There's more that Skoda adds to the Kushaq suite of safety features. Traction control for better control on slippery surfaces, electronic locking differential for enhanced stability while cornering, rollover protection that mitigates the chances of the vehicle tumbling onto its side, multi-collision braking and even hill hold assist. And all these work together to ensure you that you and your family stay safe in a Skoda.
It's a proud moment for Skoda to have achieved such successes in a car that was specifically designed, developed and produced in India. And for us Indians, it's a matter of pride to see India becoming a hub of manufacturing, development and production of world-class cars. And this is the only way towards safer mobility in the country.
Well, if you enjoy taking your SUV off-road but also enjoy being in the lap of luxury, then the Land Rover Defender might just be the SUV you're looking for. But which one would you pick? The long wheelbase variant or the short wheelbase variant? We'll be back after this short break to tell you which SUV you should put your money on. Welcome back here with us on Overdrive. Now, the Land Rover Defender 90 might not be your pick if you're looking for an extremely luxurious SUV that can also tackle hardcore off-road terrain. But it's definitely one that offers a lot of fun.
The Defender 90 just doesn't make any sense when the 110 exists. For not a lot more money, you get to carry 2 more people, a lot more luggage, more weight on the roof rack, and it does everything that the 90 does, well, almost, because the 90 can get you to places like this, where a bigger SUV is just too unwieldy. And that's why I want the 90. And now what I mean by that is, I was able to just reverse the 90 onto this patch of dry rock in the middle of this stream, almost river. No issues. Now with a larger SUV, yeah, it would require a little more commitment, especially reversing it down a tight trail like this that's leading to the river's edge. But the 90, no problem whatsoever.
But don't just take my word on what makes the 90 special. We've got someone who's been off-roading since before I was even born. Here's Bob Rupani's take on it.
So Bob, what do you think? Short wheelbase versus long wheelbase?
The short wheelbase any day, Simran.
So you've just about gotten the car, just about started driving it, and I can see that smile on your face already.
You know, I believe SUVs are meant to go off-road. Yeah, and these days very few go off-road, and even mainly the crossovers and stuff like that, they don't have serious off-roading ability. This car is an exception. The Jeep Wrangler, of course, is. I think these are the last two of the endangered species of serious four-wheel drives left. So yeah, I'm enjoying it.
So what I'm still really finding hard to come to terms with is that the 110 does so much of what the 90 does, but that short wheelbase magic. The wheelbase of this is nearly 500 millimeters shorter than the 110. Your approach and departure are the same, breakover is a little different, but you really feel that difference in the steering, don't you?
Of course, and see, two things to me make this my choice, the short wheelbase, the 90 over the others, is because one, it's lighter. I think it's 125 kilos lighter. But the most important thing is that this is shorter. I think the turning circle is significantly better in this also compared to
11.4 meters versus 12.8, if I recall correctly. And in stuff like this, when you're green landing, you don't really realize how important that small SUV is, no?
This is what I'm saying. If you're off-roading in the desert and open plains and stuff like that, open areas, it doesn't matter so much. But in a country like ours, where we have all these forested trails and things like that, like where we are driving now, you want the turning circle to be shorter. And this gives it that nimbleness, the agility.
The amount of length that the entire car is shorter, almost all of it is in the wheelbase. So that's a huge difference.
And that's what makes this so much more capable off-road, so much more enjoyable. When you have a big car, at the end of the day, these are expensive SUVs. You don't want to go bashing around and, hitting the back end on a branch that's sticking out and things like that. So the less length you're carrying behind you, the more enjoyable your drive off-road is.
Like the rest of the Defender range, the 90 is also available with a choice of 2-litre petrol 4-cylinder, 3-litre petrol and diesel 6-cylinder and a 5-litre V8. We're driving the P300, the 2-litre with 300 PS and 400 Nm torque, mated to an 8-speed automatic permanent all-wheel drive and a 2-speed transfer case.
Now with the 90 being about 2 passengers lighter than the 110, I'd be lying if I said that I didn't feel the difference between the way the engine in this responds versus the engine in that. Now, we have driven the P300 variant in both, and this feels just a little more sprightly. We did complain that gearbox was very relaxed in the 110, and while it still is relaxed over here, your responses seem like they result in a more immediate reaction, and that's okay. Another area where there definitely is a difference in favor of the 110 is the ride quality. It just feels like it's a little more compliant. 90 might feel a little crashy at low speeds over speed breakers, but once those speeds rise to about 50, 60, it's pretty much smooth sailing. So again, the Defender experience in the P300 remains largely the same, but I think the biggest difference comes when you're driving this thing in the city. The 110 can prove to be quite a handful to navigate at times. 90, no such issues. It just feels a lot more chuckable, even though there is quite a bit of body roll that will probably dissuade you from really taking corners a little too fast. This isn't a corner cover. It's meant to be an enthusiast-oriented off-roader, and like we've seen, it can do just so much.
The Defender 90 takes the Hot Wheels styling on the Defender range even further with its more compact proportions. Three-door cars or SUVs are a rare sight in India, and the 90 automatically stands out and draws attention like not much else on the road can. The 90 is pretty much identical inside with the same levels of plushness, craftsmanship, comfort and innovation in design and tech. A larger touchscreen is optional, but we like the look of the recessed screen here. The UI as always is great to use, and all the tech does feel like it helps rather than hinders. Back here and in place, it's not as compromised as you would think. Sure, you are sat a little knees up, but there is a ton of knee room and there's a ton of headroom. It is a comfortable place. You've got flip-up headrests, you've got multiple charging points and more than enough space to keep your stuff. Behind this massive heavy tailgate though, you'd find about as much boot space as you would in a full-size 3-row SUV, 231 liters dry. You can flip the seats of course, and that helps liberate a lot more room. Then you're limited in the number of passengers you can carry, and not everybody wants to do that. Ultimately, the Defender 90 shouldn't make sense as a luxury off-roader because it does ask you to make compromises in space, and that's a luxury most people wouldn't want to lose. But it does possess that intangible quality of being fun and plush, which is hard to put a price tag on. And that makes it a very special sort of SUV, one that many won't understand, but when you do, you know you'll want one really, really bad.
Well, with that, it's time for us to wrap up this week's edition of Overdrive. But remember, you can stay in touch with the team through Facebook, Twitter as well as YouTube. And you can follow our latest updates on Instagram. We'll see you next week. Until then, drive and ride safe.